Most horror films share similarities like emphasis on suspense, unexpected events, or threatening characters. Okay. However, classic horror films presented these fundamental parts in a more artistic form that make the movie appear more professional. Present-day horror films don't seem to focus on the professional quality, but more on keeping the audience attentive with constant thrilling moments. So my speech is that classic horror films have better quality than present-day horror films. An example that I'm going to use is Alfred Hitchcock. He excels in his movies because he presents it artistically. Recent horror films like Freddy vs. Jason lack the aesthetic aspect. I use Alfred Hitchcock as an example because he's like really successful in filmmaking and in like horror specifically. And I use Freddy vs. Jason because it is a good example of the poor quality in today's horror films. Okay, the suspense in classic horror films is more seldom, and in new horror films, the suspense is constantly happening and trying to keep the audience like attention, and there's just a lot of suspense, and it just too much going on, and it doesn't focus on the plot. Classic horror films like Hitchcock's Psycho focuses more on the plot of the film rather than the visual effect. So like I said, the film doesn't have a lot of like constant gore or unrealistic things, and so I use an example of the opening scenes of, for example, Freddy vs. Jason and Psycho. In Freddy vs. Jason, the opening scene has like fire and blood explosions like from a bed, coming from a bed, and it's like really unrealistic. And Psycho starts off like an ordinary day, and he keeps it very artistic, and the frame is fixed, and he starts the movie with a simple yet suspenseful tune that causes the audience to be anxious about the film. So in comparison, the blood explosions and gore of the opening scene of Freddy vs. Jason uses the main qualities. It tries hard to grab the attention, and it loses the artistic quality of the valley of a scary movie. Present-day horror films present sexuality in a vulgar and overdone manner. For example, like a lot of like new horror films always have like a sex scene, and then they end up like getting killed during or after or something. And in old horror films, like for example, maybe in like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, in the beginning you know like something happened and there's like a guy and a girl and like a bed, but it's not like vulgar or something like just like disgusting. Present-day horror films have a predictable plot. For example, you can see a group of oversexed college kids who all get killed. The main focuses are usually suspense and sex rather than the plot and the character developments. The classic artistic form of horror is lost, and the main focuses have changed. Classic films present the audience with a professional performance, and new horror films become very predictable and highly unrealistic.